buddies, it's Dupe Day, holiday edition. If your Christmas wish list includes saving money while also decorating like a pro, you have come to the right place. All of these DIYs look designer while costing so much less because we are going to DIY instead of buy. A huge thank you to Fabric by Gerber Life for sponsoring this video and helping me bring you these dupes. I comb the internet, places like Pottery Barn, West Elm, Kirkland's, Antique Farmhouse, and more to find the best high-end items that we can easily DIY for a fraction of the cost. So grab your glue guns, grab some hot cocoa, settle in because we are going to DIY instead of buy to save hundreds.
If it is lit for Christmas time, it is for me. So these faux lit pine branches were beautiful, but not for $129 from Pottery Barn. So I went over to good old Hoblob to see if they had any greenery. Typically I would go to Joann's for this, but RIP. This is the first year I'm doing Christmas dupes without them, and it's very sad. Anyway, I did find these stems on sale for about $6. I grabbed 4 of them, and I tested them out with my assistant in store to make sure that they were going to fit in the vase that I already had, and they did. So then I am going to light them up myself. This is my holy grail. I talk about them all the time. They are under $10 from Walmart. They are fairy lights. What I love about them is they improve them every year. They've got a bunch of different settings and the wire inside is green. So it is going to match up with these picks, and you could easily do this to ones you already have. You do not need to go out and buy new ones. You could use greenery. You could use a wreath. The goal here is just to get those lights tucked in so that the cords aren't around everywhere and it just looks like those leaves or pine needles, whatever you're using, are just lit from within. That is what's going to give you the high-end look. I'm working my way from the top of one branch all the way down and then up the next all the way around until I get through all 4 of them. It's a little tedious, but honestly this only took me about 15 minutes, and I love that I can start the timer, I tuck this inside, and then I can easily turn it on and off as needed, and the glow this gives off is really great. I love the look of these. They are going to be a staple in our house this season. A reminder, there's $129. Mine, I was able to make the entire thing for $34. Our next expensive inspo item comes from Sonoma, and they are these mini gold frames. They wanted $25 for one of them, and so I saw these in the Target dollar spot. They're plastic and they look really cheap, but we're going to take those $1 fines and crank them up about 12 notches. If you can't find those, Dollar Tree also has these really fun wood cutout frames, a pack of 4 for $1.50, I believe, so you could do the same technique and add a hanger. I'm going to go through and remove the little sticker on the back that holds the artwork in and pull out the artwork. I'm going to save those for later, cut off the hangers because I am going to use different ribbon, but if you want to save those, untie them. Then I'm going to spray paint these with the color Espresso from Rust-Oleum, and I'm using my spray paint tent to make sure it doesn't get everywhere. Then once I did the front and the back and it dried, I took it upstairs to my craft room to give it the love that it deserves for this project. This is Antique Gold Rub and Buff. I put on some gloves, and then I'm just using my finger to work this in around the outside to really bring out those grooves and the really pretty details in these ornaments. Make sure you get the sides, the back, and the inside, so then that way when your picture or your artwork is in there, it all looks like one gilded metal frame. Here's the comparison before and after. Then the hardest part of this project is figuring out what you're going to put in them. So this one, I just put the tree image back in because that was really cute. I also printed some pictures of our family as well as some of these fun holiday ones. You know, I had to work in a train for Finn, some Santas, and I'm using those little images that I pulled out originally as a guide to cut out these. I printed them 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. These are free printables, the Santa ones, over in my free file library. So I'll link that down below for you. And if you are wondering how to print them to the right size, don't worry, I've got a video for you down there as well. Now we are going to tie them up with a little bit of black velvet ribbon. I got this from Michael's, but you could use whatever you have. You could even use jute twine. That would look pretty. And voila. I love the Norman Rockwell one, but all of these are a favorite. If I see more of these, I will probably grab some, or even those Dollar Tree shapes, because this is such a great way to make fun ornaments, and these would also make amazing present toppers as well. So a ton of ideas, only $1. Again, 25 versus like about $2 in other supplies. Can't beat it. If you've been with me in past Christmas seasons, you know that I love Norman Rockwell, especially for Christmas. When I saw that Pottery Barn was doing a collab, I was so excited, and then I saw this picture was $249. So I decided to use this frame that has been sitting in my basement for probably maybe going on 2 years now. I loved the outside, but I didn't have a project for it, but it was so pretty and it was only $3. So glad I bought it and waited for this day. I ripped off the back carefully, that kind of, matting, that brown paper. Then I pulled out the mat as well as the image, and I grabbed some of this plaid fabric I recently got at Michael's. I'm going to take that mat, lay it down, and I'm going to cut a piece of the fabric that has about a 1-inch overhang on all 4 sides. Then I'm just going to take some regular old Scotch tape. You can also use hot glue, but the reason I'm using Scotch tape is if I want to switch this out for spring, winter, whatever, I can switch out the fabric easily. You're going to be ripping your mat if it's hot glue. So if you want this to be permanent, do that. If not, you can do the tape like I'm doing. I'm going to do all 4 sides as well as folding in the corners, and then we're going to go to the center, create a little slit, and then cut from the center out to each of the corners on a diagonal. Cut off some excess and then pull those out to the outside just like we did with the outer pieces around the edge. Once that's all hooked down, you have got a beautiful fabric covered mat. This is right up the alley of the Ralph Lauren Christmas that is super trending right now. It's like the ginghams and the little teddy bears and all of that fun stuff. So that is why I decided to give this a little bit of color, because as you saw, the Pottery Barn one didn't have it. But tape it down, I added my mat, and it's good to go. The other great thing is if you don't have a frame that has a mat, you can easily buy one at your local craft store or on Amazon. And I love this. I love that the frame didn't need much work, but you could also use the rub and buff like we did before. I just love this jolly old Santa, and between $249 versus like the $5 I spent on mine, I'm going to chalk it up as a whiskey win. I love gingerbread decor. I think it's so adorable, and I really loved these primitive farmhouse fake cookies on Antique Farmhouse's website. Well, I thought, I could definitely make this myself. So to make these, I am combining 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of salt, and a half a cup of cinnamon. I'm mixing that together, and then I'm adding 1 cup of water. I'm going to mix that up to create a cinnamon salt dough recipe. I made some of these a while ago. We were in our old house, I think maybe Finn's first Christmas, 2021, something like that. And they smell so good, but I got rid of them when we moved, so I needed some more. You're just going to roll it out with some flour on your surface or cinnamon and use cookie cutters. I have 2 different sizes of gingerbread men, and this is also the time you can add a face. I opted to leave mine plain for the look I was going for, but if you would like a face, you could add it with a straw or a pencil or any other grooves that you want. Then I'm taking my little cutouts and I'm putting them on a parchment paper lined baking sheet and popping them in the oven for about an hour, hour and a half at 250. You can also pull it down to as low as 200 to dehydrate them, and then these cookies will smell amazing, but they will last and last and last. And a quick little Whit tip, if yours come out looking a little dull, just take a teeny bit of olive oil, rub it in with your finger, and you will get a beautiful cookie every time.
I absolutely love the Christmas season. Everything from all the treats to the nostalgia to time spent with family. I can sit back and just enjoy all of the folks around me. And it also makes me realize how badly I want to make sure that my family is protected no matter what life throws our way. Now, during all this hustle and bustle of the Christmas season, the last thing you're probably thinking about is life insurance. However, it can be one of the best gifts that you can give your family. With Fabric by Gerber Life, if anything were to happen to myself or my husband, our family, especially our 2 young boys, would be covered with some financial protection. Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance you can get done today. Made for busy parents like you, all online, all on your schedule, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes with no health exam required. And even if you have coverage through work, it might not be enough, or it may not follow you if you leave. If you have not heard of term life insurance before, it is purchased for a set period of time, like 10, 20, 30 years. And then if something were to happen during that time, your family gets financial support for things like your mortgage, bills, and even college costs. Fabric has flexible, high-quality policies, up to $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. And they also have free digital wills, as well as other tools to help you invest in your kids' future. What I love is there is no risk to apply. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can cancel anytime. So head over to meetfabric.com/wit, MEET fabric.com/wit. Learn more and get your family protected today.
So much of what makes a wreath look really high-end is texture and fullness, and I'm going to show you how you can do that on a budget, because usually they're going to charge you for all of the pieces that go into it, and wreaths can get expensive. So I'm starting with this $25 one that is 24 inches in diameter from Walmart. It's beautiful already, and it already has some texture, but I'm going to go through with these matte and gloss berries from Hobby Lobby. These are a couple bucks each, and I am going to fold the tail down and just shove it into the grapevine wreath that's underneath this Walmart wreath. Super easy, bend it down, and the reason I'm doing that instead of cutting it is, say I want to use these stems later on, I can pull them out because I'm not hot gluing them, and they will be fine. As you're adding them, make sure you are doing it along with the natural curve of your wreath. So here we're doing clockwise, and just make sure that you are getting it where it is naturally flowing, and then also making sure you're fluffing those berries as you go. Don't just shove it in there and just assume it's going to look great. Definitely take your time, fluff it, and kind of play around with it. I mess around with these things so many times before it gets where I want it. Now here is what's really going to take it up a notch. I had these eucalyptus stems just chilling in my craft room closet. I think they're originally from Walmart, and I am just using what I have. I'm sticking these in any area, again, around that clockwise circle to give some more texture and a little bit different of color. That is what really made it feel high-end to me. Then I'm grabbing some of this ribbon. This is just some I had on hand that matched the reds, and this came from Joann's. Super sad, but there are similar ones all around. I'm going to cut a loop for the top and then a longer piece for the tails of my bow, and I'm going to take the loop at the top, pinch it, and then add my tail to the bottom and tie it with some jute twine. Once I have the shape of my bow, I want to cover up that jute twine, so I'm going to take an additional piece of that red and white ribbon, and I'm going to take an additional piece of that red and white ribbon, and I'm going to fold the two sides of the center in. Then we are going to tie this to the wreath. The reason I'm doing this versus hot glue is, one, it really finishes off the bow, and two, when I put this on my front door and it's super sunny and, warm during the day when the sun beats down, it's not going to melt the hot glue all over my front door. I am not speaking from experience. Telling for a friend. No, I've done that before. You can actually see some of the hot glue on my door here still. We're going to keep it real. However, once you get it up on your door, you can kind of accordion the ends of your bow, and this is what is going to take your $25 Walmart wreath up a ton of notches and make it look high end. So for an extra $10 or so on top of your $25 wreath, you can really make a huge statement. I shared in my recent haul that I purchased this Paint Your Own Nativity kit from Hobby Lobby because I had an idea in mind, and I also grabbed this foam Nativity craft kit. So I got it home and I sprayed all of them with a base coat of espresso. It's the same color we used for the frames earlier in the video. Then I'm using that same rub and buff, but this time we're going to use a brush, and I am essentially dry brushing that over the top to really make the details of all the animals, the wise men, the shepherds, and also the Holy Family really pop. It looks so good on the hay in the manger. I was like, okay, this is a good choice. I set them all out and let them dry. And then I grabbed a piece of scrap wood as well as this printable. I printed it on some glossy photo paper just because it's instant dry, and I'm going to Mod Podge it onto the scrap wood. The scrap wood was like about a 4x6-ish, and this is just something I cut for my recent wood video and didn't end up using. So I am taking some Mod Podge, putting down a thin coat. I'm going to push this down, cut off any excess, and then I'm going to go over the top. Because it is glossy photo paper and I wanted it to just look matte, that's why I'm going over the top, but you could probably, with the photo paper, not have to mess with that. I got a 100-piece pack from Amazon when I did a Cricut video, and I've just been using it for a ton of other things. Now on to this Nativity kit. It is super cute. It is the perfect size. It's great for kids, but they did not finish the edges, and that drove me up a wall because it looked so cheap that way. I took some antique wax and I went over all the edges, and it made it look so much better. It looks more like wood. It fits my cute little nativity characters. Look how cute they are. Oh my gosh, with the animals and everything. And it's the perfect size with this Oh Holy Night sign. So you can add some straw there from Dollar Tree to kind of really give it the overall look, or do what I'm going to do and display it with just the Oh Holy Night sign. I think I'm going to put this up on our second floor by the boys' bedrooms. Now, speaking of that metallic finish, these antique gold Santas are so popular. I decided to take a trip to the thrift store to see if I could find some Santa tchotchkes. I did, and don't worry, these are not officially from Germany. They're made in China. So I didn't want people getting mad at me when they saw me painting and it said Germany 19 whatever. No, it is made in China. I also found this beautiful angel, and if you can't find anything at the thrift store, Hobby Lobby also has some figurines that you can do the same technique to. You guessed it, we're grabbing that espresso paint as well as the antique gold rub and buff, and I did a mixture of my hand, like my finger, and the brush application here, and you really just want something that has some like detail to it. So like this angel, the wings, the bow, the hair, it really popped with the rub and buff. And Rub and Buff sells a ton of different colors. So like if this is not your vibe, there is a brighter gold, there's more of a coppery, I think you can get a rose gold, tons of different options, but this just goes well with what I have in my house, and I love it with the Oh Holy Night sign as well. The Santas also look really cute with my scrapwood trees. I made that in a recent wood video. If you missed that one, you definitely want to check it out. There are a ton of projects in there, all under $10 in wood if you want to check it out. Another feature I didn't even realize until I put the rub and buff on was the really pretty bow on the angel. She's also a candle holder. So the inspo was $66, mine were $3. It's not really an exact comparison, but you guys like to see that. I also wanted to try it out on this Santa kind of plasticky blow mold style ornament. I just clipped the top, added a little bit of masking tape to cover the hole, and then I followed the same process. I really like how this looks. The only thing that gives me pause are the eyeballs. So like if you look at it like that, it looks a little funky. So if you have any suggestions on how to fix the eyeballs but keep the metal look, let me know down in the comments. I was recently served a Facebook ad from Cotton and Crete, and I saw this vintage Santa head. I happened to then be walking through Walmart and I saw this tree topper, and I thought, okay, can we make this cute Santa look kind of like that rustic old one? The reason I wanted to go this route is because not only was that one over $100, but also sometimes vintage Santas can be a little creepy. It's kind of like elves, if you remember Courtney and the mystery box. That was a while ago, but elves can get creepy too, and so sometimes vintage Santas are more creepy than cute. This guy's cute. I started by taking some antique wax on a wipe and applying it. That didn't do what I wanted to do, so then I just applied the wax all over the beard and wiped it off strategically with a wipe. That gave me a little bit more of the base coat I wanted, and then I went over the top with some white Waverly chalk paint, and I kind of buffed it in. If there was anywhere that got a little bit too stark of white, I went back through with the Waverly wax in the color Antique, and I just kept going back and forth until I got the kind of off-white, a little dingy, but, you know, more vintagey look. I'm also going to add the antique wax to the red hat and the brim. The only thing I'm not painting myself is the face. Here's a comparison from the stark white to where it is now. It is a pretty quick and easy project, but this thing is so cute. So it's a tree topper, so you could put it on top of your tree. I am going to kind of display it in a vignette. I'm not sure where in my house yet, so I'll have to let you know and share a picture, but I think he's so cute, and this is definitely the vibe I was going for. Quick comparison, it was $12 plus a few supplies, making it $15 versus $102.
I hope you guys loved this round of dupes. If you did, I've got a ton more dupe videos. I've been doing these for years, so I will link my DIY Instead of Buy series on the screen for you, as well as down in the description, so you can check that out. Also, be sure to check out more about Fabric by Gerber Life. You can go to meetfabric.com/Whit. That's MEET fabric.com/Whit to learn more about them, do your risk-free application, and you can see if that's something that would benefit your family. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new, be sure to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any future Whiskey and Whit content, and I will see you in the next one.